All right, I'm here working on Out for Blood by John Peyton Cook, and I am in Chapter 9, and at this point in the book, our main character, Chris, is about to basically feed for the first time, and he is about to be shipped off to be trained by an older vampire, but in the meantime, his group that he's with is going to help him feed for the first time. So they've been at a club and carefully avoiding mirrors and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm just going to narrate this scene. Make sure I hit record here. So I'm going to be working. I might pause, redo some things, check some voices here and there. So that's just how I work in the booth. Jamie led him down the alley beneath the now quiet L tracks, past a long line of shadowed cars packed to See? Put the camera on and I'm freaking nervous already. Let's try that again. Let's do that again. Jamie led him down the alley beneath the now quiet L tracks, past a long line of shadowed cars parked diagonally along its length. Chris could see Luis clearly, standing on the other side of an iron support beam just up ahead. He was talking to a girl whose back was up against the beam. Chris could make out her curly blonde hair and the curve of her hip protruding past the thick column of metal, but all else was obscured. I think I mumbled that. I'm just going to do this here. Back up a little bit. Chris could make out her curly blonde hair and the curve of her hip protruding past the thick column of metal, but all else was obscured. Here we go. Third time's a charm in this little sentence. Chris can make out her curly blonde hair and the curve of her hip protruding past the thick column of metal, but all else was obscured. Jamie whispered in Chris's ear once more. "Luis is going to sell this girl some crack. We're his suppliers." "What do you mean?" Chris gave him a quizzical look. "Not for real. Jeez, Chris." Jamie made it sound as if Chris's naivete was beyond the pale. Jamie made it sound as if Chris's naivete was beyond the pale. "That's what he told her so she doesn't get suspicious when she sees us coming. Try telling someone, 'I want to bite your neck,' and see how far that gets you, Chris." Hold on. Says, "Coming. Try telling someone, 'I want to bite your neck,' and see how far that gets you. Christ!" Oh, am I doing his voice too low? I'm gonna check Jamie's voice. There you go. One more time. I did Jamie's voice a little too high. Although I'm gonna keep the "I want to bite your neck." I'm gonna keep that part though. "Coming. Try telling someone." Try telling someone, "I want to bite your neck." "Bite your neck, and see how far that gets you. Christ!" All right. They tramped through the mud and came around behind Luis, and Chris got his first glimpse of their intended victim. She was younger looking than any of the vampires, probably about 19. Her wild mop of bleached blonde hair. Her wild mop of bleached blonde hair was teased into a big but stylish mess, and her tight jeans hugged her hips that were slightly too full. Since she was lacking in the chest department, her hair served to balance out her figure, which would otherwise be too hippie. This is where I'm like, did that sound right? I gotta re-listen to it here. No. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna reevaluate later if I have to. Are these the guys? She was asking Luis. That's them. It's a small character. I'm like, are these the guys? I'm a 19-year-old. Let's see. Let me make sure I got Luis's voice right. I went ahead and left his message on the machine. That's them. That's them. That's them. The girl appraised Jamie and Chris, and her face caught a square of moonlight. Streaming through the L tracks above. She was painted to excess, with swaths of rouge that made her look swaths of rouge. She was painted to excess, with swaths of rouge that made her. There we go. She was painted to excess. Oh, of course, now I kindled. It's got some standby. All right. She was painted to excess, with swaths of rouge that made her look less like a whore than like a clown. Did I say that right? That made her look less like a whore, with swaths of rouge that made her look less like a whore than a clown. And were complemented by the bright colors elsewhere on her face, from lipstick to eyeshadow. She probably isn't a whore, Chris thought. But with proper teasing, her hair could be made to look like Bozo's, and her clown look would be complete. Pause and I'll look to it. Bozo's, and her clown look would be complete. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you've got, she said, her voice a high-pitched whine. Jamie got closer to her. Closer, I'm not doing English accent yet. Jamie got closer to her and removed something from his jeans pocket. I'm doing weird pauses right now. Jamie got closer to her and removed something from his jeans pocket, holding it up in front of it. Hold on. One moment. From his jeans pocket, holding it up in front of her face. Chris craned his neck around Jamie's shoulder so he could see Chris craned his neck around Jamie's shoulder so he could see I keep wanting to run this sentence here. Looks like there's not a space between the period and the J in Jamie. Chris craned his neck around Jamie's shoulders. Chris craned his neck around Jamie's shoulders so he could see. Jamie was holding his fist just past his own nose, so that the girl was looking, so that the girl was looking directly into his eyes. Chris saw her clown face transforming from animated curiosity to a mere passive stare, entrapped by Jamie's eyes. "This here's an excellent rock," Jamie said, unfolding his fingers. Yet the girl's eyes remained on Jamie's, not on the object he was revealing, a sugar cube. Say it a little differently. Jamie's, not on the object he was revealing, a sugar cube. "Wow!" Let's do this again. Not on the object he was revealing. Yet the girl's eyes remained on Jamie's, not on the object he was revealing, a sugar cube. On Jamie's, not on the object he was revealing, a sugar cube. "Wow," said the girl. "It looks excellent." $50. $50. "Sure, man." Without turning away from Jamie's gaze, she reached into her front pocket and pulled out a crumpled wad of bills with some difficulty, due to the tightness of her jeans. She handed him the entire crinkly ball. "Okay, that's 50. "Okay, that's 50, Jamie said, while he handed it to Louise without even glancing at it. Then he placed the sugar cube into the girl's hand and closed her fingers tightly around it. She jammed it into her pants pocket, grinning. "Now, let's have a kiss," Jamie added, smiling wide to reveal his fangs. "Now, do I say it more like Bill Paxton, you know?" I think that sounds good. "Now, let's have a kiss." Do a little more menace, though, here. Jimmy added, smiling wide to reveal his fangs. The girl took a step forward, entranced. Yet Jamie placed his hands on her shoulders and pushed her back gently against the iron beam. She parted her lips, but he ignored them and went straight for her neck. She cried out briefly as he sank his fangs into her flesh, but her hands gripped his back more tightly, pulling him closer. "Yes," she muttered, amid Jamie's wet, sucking sounds. But Jamie didn't drink long. "All right, Chris," he said, his lower lip and chin glistening red and wet. "This blood's for you." "This blood's for you." Just one more time. "This blood's for you." As Jamie left her leaning there, blood trickled from both wounds on her pale neck. Chris was reminded how thoroughly clowns had frightened him as a child. Strange, how he had loved vampires and yet been mortally terrified of clowns. He had hated going to the circus for that reason alone. The lion tamers, trapeze artists, and fire eaters had been thrilling and marvelous, but whenever a clown had come up into the audience to make the children laugh, Chris had always screamed. His nightmares had been filled with hideous clown faces and brightly colored gloved hands, often disembodied. Chris had always associated the hands with the clowns, though he couldn't remember why. Right now, he had to take a moment to remind himself that this girl wasn't a clown at all, but simply a whorish drug addict, garishly painted. "Hurry," Louise prodded, "before the wounds heal up. You have to use the same holes." glitch there. Before the wounds heal up, you have to use those same holes. Do a little bit of a twat in the edit. There's a weird glitch that I'm kind of trying to fix here. Louis prodded. Hurry, Louis prodded. Alright. It's now or never, Chris thought. But in the end, his terrific thirst exceeded his fear. He smiled wide, feeling his sharp canine teeth stretch into position, and placed his mouth against the girl's neck, tasting the blood Jamie had left behind. The tips of his teeth quickly found the soft, raised puncture wounds and plunged in to open them farther. I did open them. Puncture wounds and plunged in to open them farther. He began to suck. That's it. He's more instructing. Hold on. Let me get Louis's voice. The thing with this book that I'm trying not to do is go too crazy with voices. I'm trying to keep it more subtle, whether or not, unless it calls for it. Like, Temsik is an older vampire with an English accent, European accent, so I need to do that there. But I'm trying to keep the feel of the character without going overboard, especially for a more serious kind of horror novel. It's something I've been trying to do. In more like fantastical novels, more lighthearted or comedic, I'll try, having fun with the voices. But this one, I'm trying to keep it more subdued. So, but I want to still make sure I'm consistent, with how they are. So, Luis, I'm kind of do it a little bit, he talks more back here, Luis does, back here. Where Chris is more kind of nervous and like, I'm new to all this is crazy. Okay. That's it, said Luis from one side of him. Slow and easy. Luis grabbed one of Chris's hands and placed it against the girl's chest. Feel the pumping of her heart. Get into rhythm with it. That's right. Good. Real nice. Her heartbeat was steady. Chris could feel easily through her cotton shirt. Her blood spurted split seconds after the thump of her heart, and Chris's sucking quickly became synchronized with it. At first it was difficult timing, the swallowing in between sucks, but once he let it come naturally instead of the swallowing in between sucks. At first it was difficult timing, the swallowing in between sucks. So I got that right. Here we go. At first it was difficult timing the swallowing in between. At first it was difficult timing the swallowing in between sucks. Blech. At first it was difficult timing the swallowing in between sucks, but once it... See, I'm thinking too hard. I'm thinking too hard right now. Between sucks. But once he let it come naturally, instead of thinking too hard, he found it was easy. A long suck followed by a brief swallow. I just said long too long. A long suck. Don't want to do that. He found it was easy. A long suck followed by a brief swallow. Like the syncopated rhythm. Like the syncopated rhythm of the girl's heart. The wetness drenched his gullet, warm and salty. Breathing came only through his nose, through the nose. breathing came only through the nose, and each intake of breath was accompanied by the musky, tangy scent of her blood. Chris kept at it, filling himself up, until his thirst was finally quenched. He discovered it didn't take much. There, that should do it. Louise pulled Chris away from the girl's neck and wiped his bloody lips with a handkerchief. You're as good as new. You're as good as new, at least for now. Jamie grabbed the girl, who had passed out, and lay her down gently on the ground, where Chris knew she would wake up the next morning bewildered as to how she'd got there. No. Lay her gently on the ground. Where Chris knew she would wake up the next morning bewildered as to how she was... Where Chris knew she would wake up the next morning bewildered as to how she got there and what she had done the night before. Not to mention $50 poorer. Or however much money she'd had in the wad of hers. That wad of hers. However much money she had in that... However much money she'd had in that wad of hers. And all she would have to show for it would be two wounds on her neck, which by morning would look like large pimples. Hold on, I'm doing a list here. Which all she would have to show for it would be 2 wounds on her neck, which by morning would look like large pimples, a general malaise from her lack of blood, and in her pockets, a tasty sugar cube. So I'm pretty sure I know how to pronounce malaise, but I'm always, when there's a word I'm not 100% sure on, I always just do a quick little, just for the hell of it, just to make sure. Malaise, I got it right. Okay, malaise. All right. Malaise. And all she would have to show for it would be 2 wounds on her neck, which by morning would look like large pimples, a general malaise from her lack of blood, and in her pockets, a tasty sugar cube. No. And in her pockets, a tasty cube of sugar. A tasty cube of sugar. A tasty cube of sugar. In her pockets, a tasty cube of sugar. Sugar water. He came in and drank the sugar water. I said malaise. A general malaise. Okay, good. All right. Moving on. Okay. How come you didn't have any? How come you didn't have any? How come you didn't have any? I'm slurring my words. How come you didn't have any? How come you didn't have any? Chris asked Louise as they headed back down the alley. There wouldn't have been enough for her to go around for the 3 of us. There wouldn't have been enough of her to go around for the 3 of us. Not in one night, at least. Also, Jamie and I have already fed this evening, before we dug you up. Beth and Dell didn't, which is one reason they stayed behind in the club, where we... You up. Beth and Dell didn't, which is one reason they stayed behind in the club when we came out here. Here we go. They're still trying to get in their licks, said Jamie, and chuckled. They showed their stamp hands to the bouncer at the door, who nodded and let them up the stairs. A familiar beat met Dell's ears. Ba-do-ba. Wait, ba-do-do-ba-do-bop-bop. So they're referencing a song by Ministry. But technically I'm not allowed to sing, but I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if I can... Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to look up the song Every Day's Halloween by Ministry. It's a good song. Ba do do ba do ba bop. That's what it says. That's written down as ba do do ba do bop bop. So I'm gonna do that, but still. Ba do do ba do do ba do bop bop. Ba do do ba do bop bop. We'll do that. Ba do do ba do bop bop. Oh, the fun stuff. Bum, 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 bum. Well, let's do that. I mean, you can't play the song in the audiobook. But good song, by the way. John. Pff, great reference. All right. Where was I? This song was Every Day is Halloween by Ministry. A song the Chicago clubs had played to death over the last several years, but that remained one of the best dance tracks Chris had ever heard. Tonight it seemed to have pulled people away from the other rooms, because the dance floor was packed with flailing arms and bodies, a thicker crowd than before. Dell was out in the middle of the dance floor, but Luis went in and pulled him away. Blah, blah, blah. Try this again. Thicker crowd than before. Where was it at? Than before. Dell was out in the middle of the dance floor, but Luis went in and pulled him away from it. Dell looked giddy with pleasure. You ready to go? Luis asked him. Sure, said Dell. I've had mine. He nudged Chris and whispered in his ear. A gymnast, no less. Hot stuff. All right. That's it for this little YouTube segment. But anyway, it's always fun to kind of do these so people can see. It's not me just sitting here just reading for extended periods. I know some, I always say this, but you see some narrators who they'll go on for long stretches. I don't know if it's because they've practiced or they're really fucking good. But you know, that's the goal. But I'm always constantly like directing myself in my head, especially when it gets to dialogue. So I end up on dialogue stuff, I find myself stopping and going a lot more. When it's just kind of straight prose, I've been working on trying to get those segments just done. And, you know, I'll stop a couple times, but those are getting better. But dialogue, I'm always trying to make sure I'm projecting it correctly and getting the characters right, the voices or the intonations correctly. So anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. So, Out for Blood, it's by Valancourt. It's out on has been republished on Valancourt Books, which is one of my favorite publishers right now. And then, of course, written by John Peyton Cook. And it's an awesome book, so you should pick it up. It's really good. So, all right, I'll talk to all you guys next time. Talk to y'all. All right, that's enough. Bye.